I'm going to go through 10 tips for tomorrow's Leaving Cert exam. Tip 1. Make sure to give 2 points of info for every point that you make in the exam, even in the short questions. If we look at the two answers, the first one here wouldn't get full marks, even though it's correct, they will have to train staff. But in the second one, we're saying training costs and then developing it by saying they'll have to spend time or money in developing staff to work in teams. So make sure you develop a statement that you make. Tip 2. For the ABQ, make sure to use keywords from the text for each point and not just the text itself from the ABQ. The exam is primarily about what you've learned from the course, so make sure that you get those words in. And for the ABQ, make sure that you give a direct quote and use quotation marks for that. So it should be a sentence from the ABQ text, not just a word or a reference to it. Tip 3. Don't spend too long on any question, particularly the shorts and ABQ. The shorts and ABQ, most people do at the beginning of the exam, and they'll end up overriding in an effort to try and impress and get down everything you know about the subject. You've studied hard for it and you've lots of information that you want to get across, but spending too long here is going to cost you lots of marks later on in the exam. Particularly the ABQ, each A, B or C should be able to be done on a page, and you shouldn't write more than 3 or 4 lines for each point. Tip 4. If a business is referenced in the question, you have to link that business in your question. If we look at SuperSave here, it says in part A, discuss the benefits of both internal and external recruitment for a business such as SuperSave. Because SuperSave is mentioned in A, there'll be marks going for mentioning a business such as SuperSave. So you should be talking about a supermarket in all of your answers for internal and external recruitment. In part B, you can see the difference. Analyse the impact of new technology on business costs and business opportunities. Provide examples to support your answer. These examples would not need to be SuperSave because SuperSave isn't referenced like it is in A above. Tip 5. If you have to create a chart, graph, memo, report, make sure that you use titles and labels for lines and axes. Often half the marks could go for layout, and it's easily forgotten as you try and get down the key content from the course. If we look at last year's product life cycle came up, there was 9 marks going for the diagram, and actually from the 9 marks, 4 were going for layout. So just for labeling the graph, labeling the axes, and labeling this axis here, time it was called, you were getting 4 marks for it. So always title everything and always label both of the axes. Tip 6. When giving headings, make sure they're statements, not titles. If we look at last year's paper again, it was a question about franchising, was outline the advantages and disadvantages for a business in the fast food sector of choosing franchising as a method of business expansion. A correct answer would be lower capital required compared to a takeover. So that would be a good statement to say, where a bad heading might be just saying something like cost. You should say whether the costs are higher or lower, or up or down, increasing, decreasing, etc. to make a heading a statement, not a title. If you have good statement in, then you just need 1 more point of development. If you only have a title that doesn't get any marks, you'll need to have 2 points of development in your answer. Tip 7. If the verb discuss is used, don't give any headings or titles in your answer. So for example, last year, discuss the benefits for a large chocolate manufacturer of engaging in market segmentation. If you were to say to develop the product in a niche market as a heading, the heading wouldn't be corrected by the examiner. When it says discuss, it means that they want you to try and talk about it. So don't use any headings or titles, and just begin writing and then make 2 points within your paragraph. It doesn't mean you should write anything more, it just means you shouldn't use headings. Tip 8. Examples are really helpful and they're fine as a development of a statement. So if you make a statement and back it up with an explained example, it'll be fine for full marks in most cases. If we look at B here, outline 3 pricing strategies a marketing manager could consider in setting a selling price for a product or service. Outline, you could say the image of the product required, or to create a luxurious image for the product. And then to develop it, you could say Rolex create a luxurious image by having a very high price compared to its competitors, so that it stands out as being above the other competitors in performance or something like that. So an example can help. And part 2 there is examples need to be real where appropriate. If you're talking about maybe illustrating like the law of contract and saying what consideration is, it'd be fine to say I swap €1 for a packet of chewing gum in Tesco, and they're both consideration because there's something of value. But if you're talking about mergers or takeovers, you should be talking about Paddy Power merging with Betfair to make Paddy Power Betfair, or takeovers like Google taking over Motorola in order to gain access to their patents or copyrights. So use real examples where you're able to, and use examples to develop points. Tip 9, when evaluating, make an opinion on something and then support that opinion. Don't just repeat keywords. So last year it was evaluate the CCPC, so you would have advised customers and different things like that as your points, so you can't just repeat them for your evaluation. For your evaluation, you should begin with in my opinion, and you should do it down at the bottom of your answer. An extra tip would be to, anytime you have evaluate as the verb, go to the bottom of the page you're about to answer on and write in my opinion there so you don't forget, because if you did forget you'd lose a couple of marks in your test. So when you write in your opinion, then give an opinion and say why. So for the CCPC, you could say, I regularly check the website and they keep on publishing new market research on different things like credit cards and mortgages. So therefore, they're very good because they're proactive and they don't just wait for complaints. Tip 10, reduce excess info. Don't pad your answers or waffle. You don't need any introductions, any summaries. You just need to put down important information. They should be concise, and the examiner is mainly looking for keywords and being applied to show understanding. You don't need to add anything else in. Check the website thebusinessguys.ie if you're studying tonight. If you have any questions about the exam, you can ask on Twitter @GavinTBG. Send any tweets there. And also, if you haven't yet, check out our shop for What It Takes for the ABQ Pack, which might help you tonight before tomorrow's exam. So take your time answering your exam tomorrow. Read and reread the question and make sure you know what it's asking, and then try and answer it as you go. Best of luck with the paper. Hope everything goes well for you.